Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Today we're going to do a little releasing. So releasing tension, releasing some adhesion within our connective tissue, and we're going to be doing that with some balls. So I've got two here that, the invitation is, because we don't always have balls like this around, to find something that feels like it mimics this. So sometimes you can use a foam roller, particularly with what we're going to do against the wall. Sometimes you may have kind of a squishy workout type tool like this that you can use and modify. But take what you have, and I have two options here because they're going to deliver a different amount of feedback. So you can see how this one has a little bit of a firmer texture, while this one, which is a partially deflated ball, has more give to it. It's going to be a little bit less pressure, less feedback. So if you're someone who carries a lot of tension in your body, you may want to explore what it feels like to use firmer or softer pressure into some of those tender spaces. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to lay down on our back with our knees bent on the mat. I'm going to move this so that you can still see me. And we're going to do a little check-in to see just how your body is resting down on the mat before we engage in some of these practices. Okay, so as you find your place on the mat, just taking a moment, letting your arms relax at your sides, but noticing a few bony landmarks here. So let's notice how the back of your head is resting onto the mat. Maybe noticing where your gaze is. So are you looking straight up towards the ceiling, or maybe your head is back in space and you're looking above you, but just kind of noticing where the back of your head is resting on the mat. Letting your throat soften into the back of your neck. Noticing your shoulders, how they're resting on the mat, your shoulder blades, the length of your arms and hands, your rib cage, how that's resting on the mat, even from side to side. Maybe one side feels like it's a little lifted. Letting your low back relax into the mat beneath you. Allowing the back of your pelvis to just kind of noticing how that's resting on the mat. Again, if one side feels a little lifted. And then noticing your heels and all the balls of your feet, how they are connecting in with the mat. No need to change anything, we're just noticing. And we're gonna go ahead and turn over onto your stomach. I want you to grab what you have in terms of our ball and the feedback. I'm gonna be working with the firmer ball. But again, listen to your body, because the idea isn't to dig into something that feels uncomfortable. Some of these might feel a little tender, but really listen to your body in terms of what feels good for you on this day. So just to show you before I lay down on the ball, we're gonna start with the ball kind of right above your pubic bone. And we're gonna gently be rolling that ball all the way up towards your xiphoid, which is where your ribs come together at the base of your sternum. So that's going to be the top of its path. And then we're going to be rolling back down, and we're going to take that to each side. So we're going to start kind of right by that hip bone. We're going to be rolling up to the bottom of the rib cage, so shorter path from side to side, and same thing on the other side. But let's start here right above the pubic bone. So you get to place that ball. You get to prop yourself up on your elbows here. And let's just start by breathing into the ball, noticing the pressure that's there. And then we're gonna roll back so the ball rolls up our body. And again, pause, just breathe into the ball. And again, traveling up, pausing, breathing into the ball. And again. And again, as you roll up, just notice what things feel like. As we kind of get into some of the spaces that are involved in digestion, involved in just some of the particular functions of your body, you may notice different sensation. You get to use the pressure that feels like it's okay. We're breathing into the ball. And last stop is just right below that xiphoid. And then we get to take that ball away. We're gonna come all the way back up to our starting point, and we're gonna bring that ball to one side. And again, let's just breathe into the ball. Noticing what feels different from side to side. And let's travel up that pathway, and we're breathing. Now, once you reach the bottom of your rib cage, we get to take that ball to the other side. And we get to do the same thing. So placing that ball, it's going to travel down that same pathway. So we're breathing into the ball, noticing maybe which side of the body feels a little more tender than the other. And we're traveling down that pathway. And then once you're done, once you reach the bottom of your rib cage, go ahead and take that ball away and set it down, and then turn right over onto your back again, and let's go through our checkpoints. And so as you're just kind of resting, noticing how the back of your head is resting on the mat. Allowing your throat to relax into the back of the neck. Noticing how your shoulders, the shoulder blade is resting on the mat. The length of your arms and hands. Noticing how the back of your rib cage is resting on the mat. Allowing your low back to relax towards the mat. The back of the pelvis. And finally the heels and the balls of the feet. And what I think is also an important layer to add into this is, how does your nervous system feel after that? Because you may notice that you feel more calm, you feel a little bit more peaceful. And so just noticing that layer as well. When you're ready, we're gonna come all the way back up. This time we're going to do some things standing, and we're going to use that ball that we were working with before. Again, you always have the option to select something that has a little bit a more soft or gentle feedback. Take what works for you. All right, so as we stand against the wall here, we'll be here. So we're gonna be standing facing the wall. And we're gonna be taking the ball first right by the sternum. So let's think about where the sternum starts and where it stops. So it starts right at that xiphoid where we kind of left off with the ball on the stomach, which is where we're gonna start here. And we're gonna allow the ball to be here. We're gonna breathe into the ball. This is the wall. And then we're gonna roll that ball across the chest, right to the side body. So we're gonna take that back and forth. We're gonna do one whole side first and then the other. So after that, we're gonna take that up a notch, find your sternum, and again, we're gonna roll that ball. We're gonna continue to roll up until we find your collarbone, and we're gonna roll all the way down the underside of the arm. Okay, so we'll talk through it as well, but I wanna show you the pathway because obviously I'm gonna be against the wall. So we get to start with your xiphoid against the wall. And we're just breathing into the wall. You're putting as much pressure as feels okay into the wall. And then in order to get that ball rolling, we're gonna roll our body against the wall. And you're gonna allow that ball to come to the side and then to roll back to your starting point. And we get to take that a couple times. Last one. Let's take that up a notch. So now we're by the sternum. And again, we're gonna roll across the chest and back. And one more here. Now take that up a notch as if you're moving towards the next rib. And again, we're rolling across the chest and taking it back. Taking it up a notch, now we're right underneath the collarbone. We're gonna roll across that collarbone and we're gonna roll right into that bicep. All the way back across the collarbone and again. And again. And up one more notch, so we're just kind of right across the top of that collarbone instead of beneath it. And again, we get to track across that whole outstretched arm. And as you complete that, just pausing and noticing side to side, just what that feels like in your body. What is allowed to now relax on one side? It might feel like we're a little lopsided. Let's take that to the other side, and remembering that we're starting right at that xiphoid against the wall. And as we're here, we get to rotate across the rib cage and into the side body. Let's take that up a notch. So now we're by the sternum. And we're rolling across the chest. Let's take that up a notch. We're moving to the next rib. And up a notch again. Now we're getting almost underneath that collarbone. So if you want to outstretch that arm and take it down that inside of the arm, taking it back and across this collarbone to your sternum and taking it back and forth. And then we get to come up almost right on or on top of that collarbone. Taking it out, and again, adding in that outstretched arm. And again. And last one. Go ahead and take that ball away, and again, just notice how that feels. It should feel nice and easy. So now that ball is going to go right at the base of your skull. Standing against the wall. And if you've got a lot of hair, just kind of move it out of the way a little bit. So I'll just put mine up. So that ball is against the base of your skull, and let's start first. It's not in your neck, it's right just against the back of your head. We're just gonna take that to one ear, to the other ear. And if that ball starts slipping, feel free to bring it back. And start to increase that range. So now instead of going from ear to ear, maybe you're going from temple to temple. Nice and slow so you can keep that ball in place. So maybe now you're going from eyebrow to eyebrow, and don't be afraid to move with that ball. And really just increasing that whole range. So maybe now you're coming to your forehead and you're meeting at the center of your forehead, and you're creating a whole band around your head. And taking this a couple times, exploring and letting your body move around that point of contact with the ball. Last time in each direction. And either come back to your little back of skull moment. When you're ready, you can take that ball away and just kind of notice how your body is feeling. So there are so many fun ways to release tension using a ball like this, and we can absolutely do some more. But let's take a moment and put that ball down, and we're going to come back to our checkpoints. So go ahead and lay down on your mat, And let's again notice, how is the back of the head resting on the mat? Letting your throat relax into the back of the neck. Your shoulders, the length of your arms and hands. The back of your rib cage. Allowing the low back to relax towards the mat. The back of your pelvis. And the heels and the balls of the feet. Adding the layer in of how is your nervous system feeling after that movement, after that release, and making note of that. Because when we can notice how our nervous system is feeling following a movement, if we're feeling dysregulated, if we feel like we need to find some calm and that's not feeling very attainable, we can remember these practices. And sometimes having that tactile feedback of a prop and using that prop to engage with the tension in your body can be incredibly helpful and provide relief that some other practices may not be able to do in that moment. So I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that you can engage with this in a way that allows you to just feel easier in your body and more peaceful in your mind and your spirit. So I'll see you back here next time on the Wise Recharge with Us from Home series. Take good care.